We're going to talk about the invisible God next.
Greg Fritz Ministries wants to give you an ebook entitled Prepare to Meet Your Maker that accompanies this television series as our gift to you. To download the ebook version of this booklet for free, visit our website, gregfritz.org. Are you tired of hearing bad news? Tune into the good news of the gospel.
I love Greg.
I love the way he teaches faith and the way he teaches healing. It's phenomenal.
Greg Fritz has been changing lives through the good news of the gospel for over 35 years.
Because he delivers the Word of God with such warmth and balance and great clarity.
This good news will inspire, inform, and change you so you can live daily in all the promises of God. Welcome to Good News with Greg Fritz.
Hello, I'm Greg Fritz. Welcome to the Good News program. And this week, for the next 5 episodes, we are going to talk about the invisible God, or why God is invisible. And if you would like the study notes to this series, you can get them in the Finding God study note section. We've included this teaching in this bundle that we've done, and so the study notes are at the end of Finding God. And so we invite you to go to the website and download those, or call the helpline and we'll mail your copy. And if you'd like all of this teaching, it's called Finding God, and these next 5 episodes are going to be included in this bundle. And this is a USB bundle. It's in audio and video. It's for $30. You can get your USB bundle and watch or listen to all 20 episodes of Finding God. And we've also included the ebook version of this book, Prepare to Meet Your Maker. And so I believe those things would be a blessing to you. But I really want to focus on this subject, that God is invisible, and why, to the best of our ability. I mean, there are things that we don't know, obviously, and there are reasons that we don't know. But I want to give you some reasons that I believe God has chosen to remain unseen and invisible. My job would be a lot easier if God would just appear, and sometimes I wish He would, because then people could be forced to make a decision one way or the other. But He's chosen not to do that, and I'm going to give you some reasons why that's the case and encourage you and others to not miss this opportunity. He may be invisible, but He's not unreachable. He's not uninterested or disinterested. He's very interested in our lives, and we can find Him. And so we're going to go through all of that in this teaching. So you don't want to miss this week. It'll really help you. God cannot be discovered by the senses because God is a spirit. He can't be discovered by science. Scientists have not discovered God, therefore they've concluded there is no God, and they're wrong. He can't be found that way, but He can be found. The senses, our 5 physical senses, are limited to the physical world, and God is a spirit. So God can't be approached that way, not in this life, not in this dispensation. So we need to get with God's program. I love what Isaiah said in Isaiah 64, 1 and 2. I guess he felt the same way I do about it. He said, "Oh, that you would rend the heavens, and that you would come down, that the mountains may shake at your presence, as fire burns brushwood, as fire causes water to boil, to make your name known to your adversaries, that the nations may tremble at your presence." And I can't tell you how many times I've wanted God to just reveal Himself, just put these people, silence these voices, and put things right. And the truth of the matter is, the devil and humankind has gotten the world in such a mess that only God can fix it. And those of us who know God realize that. And so sometimes it's easy to get impatient and say, God, just show up and scare these people or whatever, force people to do the right thing. But He's not going to do that. He's exercising incredible restraint. And I admire that because, boy, if I was in His position, I would be tempted to set things right, set the record straight, get the credit that I deserve for making everything, giving people an opportunity to live life. But God has literally chosen to step back and allow each of us to live our lives. He's chosen to be invisible. Doesn't have to be. He's chosen to be that way. He's not, however, unreachable. And although he remains unseen, people are not incapable of believing in him or unable to find him. No matter what they may say, it is possible for each and every human heart to seek, search, and find their Creator. And we're going to see more along those lines in just a moment. God has given each person the freedom to choose him or reject him without his intimidation or coercion. He doesn't force people. So it seems, I guess it's not unfair. If people don't choose to seek God, it's unfortunate. And my heart goes out to them, and that's why we do some of these series we do, because I want people to stop and don't miss the point. Don't miss this opportunity, this one life you have to find God. But in this dispensation, in this world as we know it, any person can choose to live their entire lives as if there is no God, and he will not stop them. He's not going to step in and say, if he was going to do that, he would have done it in the Garden of Eden. And so he's giving us the same freedom of choice as he did Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. They chose, obviously, to go away from God and to sin. He's given us the opportunity to choose to come back to him and embrace salvation. But it's the same principle. He's not going to force it. He's not going to stop it. He's given us freedom of choice. And so there are people who ask this question. We're going to deal with this in a later series more in depth, but they say, if there is a God, then why is all this evil in the world? And why doesn't he do something about it? Well, the answer is because he's given us freedom of choice, and there is a devil, and humankind can make their choices and deal with the consequences. What's unjust, in my opinion, is that people mess their lives up, starting with Adam and Eve, making the choices they made, siding in with the enemy of mankind, and undermining everything God has done. And then, they blame God for the mess they're in, or they blame God for the trouble that's on the earth. So I have a short answer to this question. If there is a God, why is there so much evil in the world? Because there's a devil. There's good and evil. And knowing God, we understand that God could eliminate this situation just like that if he chose to. He could come in and just set everyone straight, make everything right, get rid of the devil and stop it. But he's giving people an opportunity to make a choice. And he's not going to force them one way or the other. This 6,000 years of human history since Adam and Eve made their fatal mistake in the Garden of Eden may be the only time where God's creatures can choose to ignore him and get away with it for a period of time. When we get to heaven, he's going to live and dwell in our midst. It's going to be obvious that he's alive. When we go into the millennium, Jesus is going to physically, personally reign on the earth. And so no one will be able to ignore his existence. One natural example of what's happening in the world today is like if you and your spouse were buying a car or buying something expensive, and the salesman brought you up to that moment of decision. And maybe they do this, I don't know, some of them don't, and they were to say, you know what, I'm going to give you guys time to talk about this in private and make your decision. And he steps out of the room to give you some time, says, when you're ready for me to come back, just let me know, and just gives you time to discuss it and come to your conclusions on your own. Now, some salesmen are way too pushy to do that, but I have had that happen before. And in a similar way, God has decided, I'm going to step back, I'm going to give you your one life to live, and if you ever want me, You just let me know. Now, as I've said, that takes incredible restraint when you could change things and you could fix things by your own power and will, and choose not to. There's something bigger going on here. I mean, there are reasons beyond our comprehension, obviously, that God would do it this way, but this is the way He's doing it. Let me give you this scripture, Matthew chapter 5 and verse 44 and 45. Jesus said this, I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Now, that's a pretty big command, and of course it's true. And one of the best ways to get rid of unforgiveness and bitterness is to literally pray for those who've done you wrong. This will help melt that. But he went on to say this in verse 45, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven, for He makes His sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. So Jesus is saying to us, you've got to learn how to love your enemies. This is a better way to live. Love your enemies like I do. And He gives us an insight into His kingdom and the way He's operating. He said, I make the sun shine on the just and the unjust. Have you ever thought about it? That there are people living in this world today that are eating God's food, breathing God's air, drinking God's water, living on God's earth, and prospering and enjoying the benefits of everything that God has made, and yet they don't give Him any credit. In fact, they blaspheme, they take His name in vain, they live as if there is no God, they're not thankful to God for what He's done for them, and yet they still function. Well, it's because this is the way God has chosen to deal with humanity at this point in time, this dispensation. He's going to make His sun shine. Maybe this means He thought about it, because I definitely have thought about it. Maybe He thought about, you know what, we could just make the sun shine on the good people, and we could just leave all the bad people in the dark. It would serve as a motivator. We could motivate people when they see the sun shining on the good people. They could say, how come you got sun and we don't? Because we recognize God and we worship God. Oh, well, let me get in on that. Well, God doesn't want people to choose Him and serve Him just so the sun would shine on them. And the rain comes on the just and the unjust. This is why, if you've ever wondered, how come somebody could be so evil and so bad and cheat and lie and yet they've got so much money or they're so successful? God has given us this season, everyone, He's given everyone one life to live, and they can do whatever they want with it. He's not going to withdraw His nature or the ability to provide for yourself or to function in society and limit it only to the good. Now, a day of reckoning is coming, but it's not here yet. And so, man, sometimes as a preacher, you feel the pressure. I mean, this is it. People have one life to choose. My generation only has one life. And I want them to wake up. I want them to make the right choice. But I'm very limited in what I can do to make that happen. And God Himself has stepped back and allowed people to make their own choices. So we can't control people, but we are to love people, respect people, and give people the opportunity to choose. We're supposed to be like our Father in heaven, who makes His sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends His rain on the just and the unjust. So that just simply means God knows exactly what He's doing. He knows that evil people seemingly are getting ahead, that they can break every rule and still seem to make it, that there are people like that. But you know, whatever the case, no matter if you're born in poverty or wealth, you have one life to choose who you're going to serve and to choose God, and not even God Himself is going to interrupt that. Another parable Jesus gave to kind of give us insight is the parable of the tares and the wheat, or the weeds and the wheat. And he said this, in this is Matthew 13, he said, he who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. He's going to explain the picture here is that there's a field and it's got wheat and weeds mixed. And so, the angel said, do you want us to pull up the weeds? Do you want us to weed this garden or this field? And he says, no, let the weeds and the wheat grow together for now. And that's what's happening, is that we're growing up together. Now, the good news is that those who are considered weeds, or the children of the devil, which she'll explain here, can convert. They can become the children of God. They can become the wheat in the field. And that's God's desire. That's our desire. God doesn't discriminate. He doesn't hate any group. He loves everyone. And that's what he said in the last passage, is be like your Father in heaven. He loves his enemies. He loves everyone. And so it says in verse 41, the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and those who practice lawlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of fire, and there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. When's that going to happen? Well, the field is the world, verse 38. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom. The tares are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age. And the reapers are the angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. So this situation, or this set of circumstances that we're in, is going to continue till the end of the age. And until then, any person can choose God if they want to. They will not be forced. They will not be refused. But they will not be forced or coerced. He's not going to demand it. He's not going to bribe them. He's not going to say, you know what, if you'll choose me, I'll make sure that you get that raise, or you get that promotion, or you get that job you want, or you see things in your life that happen. Now, once you choose God unconditionally, with no demands, we don't demand anything. We're servants of God, children of God. We belong to God. He owns us. Then He will give you a life to live, and give you promises and dreams that He'll fulfill. But really, I mean, you can't you can't come to God with conditions. The way it's set up is God's not going to make you do it, but when you make this choice, it's unreserved. There's nothing held back. I'm going to serve God regardless. Like Job said, though He slay me, yet will I trust Him. Jesus said, when you do all these things that the Father demands, you would say, I'm an unprofitable servant, and I've done only those things which was my duty to do. What that means is we serve God unconditionally. Now, of course, He makes life worth living, and He will surprise you, and I believe He'll give you a better life than you could have ever gotten on your own. But that's not why we choose God. We choose God because there's no better choice. I'd rather serve God than anything else in the world. And so until the end, the wheat and the weeds, the tares, will grow together. And they have every right to make whatever choice they want in life. And I think some people are missing the point, and it's just hard to watch sometimes. No matter how famous someone is, no matter how good they are at their craft, or how much, how far their career has taken them, if they don't find God and make that decision to choose God and to serve God, they've missed the point. They've missed the reason for their existence. And there's no reason for that. There's nothing worth doing that. There's no career or payoff that's worth missing the opportunity to meet the invisible God. And so you say, well, why does He do it that way? Because He wants the choice that you and I make to be completely voluntary. He doesn't want it to be by force. He wants it to be voluntary. He wants us to want Him like He wants us. If you put the shoe on the other foot, that's why God's so good to His enemies, because He chose them. He created them. He wanted them. Before the foundation of the world, God wanted all these people. There are no accidents. Every person who's ever lived has been part of God's dream. He wants to fellowship with them and live with them forever. But for our fellowship to be on the level that He wants it to be, the highest level, we have to be free to choose Him the way He was free to choose us. No one made God choose us. No one forced God to make the heavens and the earth. No one forced God to take the dust of the ground and form a human being and breathe into them the breath of life. He chose that. He chose humanity. And in order for us to love Him and go into eternity with Him and it to be a healthy relationship, He's giving us the opportunity now to choose Him. He's not forcing us. We have other choices. There are other options. This is why there was a tree in the garden to begin with. Have you ever wondered, if God could have saved us all a lot of trouble if He just hadn't put that tree in the garden and said, that's off limits? Why don't we just cut that one down and, take the fence down and say, you could just eat from any tree? Because God wanted humans to have a choice. He wanted them to have another option. What good would it be to have a test, a multiple answer, multiple choice test, and only have one choice, the right answer? That wouldn't be a test at all. That wouldn't really mean anything. If God said, hey, I'm going to give you a free will and you can make any choice you want with your life, but I'm the only choice. So be happy. Just get with the program. No, that wouldn't be an accurate test or a proper way to utilize a free will. We might as well be robots in that case. So if God's going to give us a free will and He wants us to choose Him freely because that's what we want, there must be other choices. And God can't interfere in the process, because if He does, then we might do it for the wrong reason. And I'll give you an example of this. His presence, if God were to rend the heavens and come down, and that's how we started this show today. If God were to rend the heavens and come down, it would burn like fire. Mountains would shake, and the adversaries and the nations would tremble at His presence. That would absolutely happen. And then there would be unconditional surrender. That would absolutely happen. People would give up, surrender to God, but they would be doing it by force and not by choice. That's not what He wanted. And you can argue with this all you want, but we're living in God's world. We didn't set things up the way they are. We had nothing to say about it or do with it. This is God's world. God set it up this way. He's chosen to do it this way. And the best thing we can do as human beings is humble ourselves and learn about God and His program and get with the program. He didn't do any of these things to hurt us, to limit us, to cheat us. He did it so that we could make this choice to go into eternity with Him forever, and knowing that God chose me and I chose Him, and we wouldn't have it any other way. That's so important to God that He's allowed the world literally to go to hell in a handbasket. I mean, humans and the devil have gotten things in such a mess because of this free will option that I don't know about you, but I get more and more anxious about the return of the Lord because the world's just it's becoming a terrible place to live. And I know that there's a future for us in God's kingdom and in heaven that'll be amazing. And so I'm just looking more and more forward to that day. Let me give you this scripture. This again gives you this attitude or this understanding of God's restraint. Revelation 3:20, Jesus said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him and he with me." So, I mean, what a picture. You got the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one who created all things. All things were created by Him, for Him, with Him, and in Him all things consist. Jesus, the name above all names. He says, I'm standing at the door and I'm knocking. I'm not going to break the door down. I'm not going to come in and take you hostage. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to let you make your decision. But anytime you're ready, I'll come in and dine with you and you with me. I've got an eternity of fellowship and relationship that is reserved just for you. But I'm not going to force it on you. What an amazing picture that is. What an amazing God we serve. And as I said, it would take an incredible amount of restraint to do this, but He's chosen to do it. And the best thing you could do is to say, come on in. And that's really all you have to do. And that's why, these people that ignore the existence of God or think if there is a God, He can't be found or He's uninterested, they're wrong. He is interested and He can be found, and it's so easy. You just humble yourself, open the door and say, Jesus, come into my life. Be my Lord. Reveal yourself to me. If you seek Him with all of your heart, you will find Him. That's a spiritual law, and it applies to each and every one of us. There's more in this. If you want this series, please go to my website or call the helpline and say, hey, I want that Finding God series. I want to know how to reach the invisible God, and it's right here. We've included this book, which will tell you exactly how to prepare to meet God and make things right with God. And this is also available free of charge. If you want to go to my website, look for Prepare to Meet Your Maker, and you can download it free right now in ebook version, but it's in here in ebook version. So you get all of that, plus the study notes for a gift of $30. So we would invite you to do that. I know we've got more to say. Don't miss the rest of this series. And until then, remember this, the good news is so good, the bad news doesn't matter. I would like to take just a moment to take care of a little business. As you can see, there aren't any products on this table. I'm not promoting anything other than my own teaching, which most of that you can find free of charge. But we don't depend on sponsors to pay for this program. We are depending on our own audience. And this is different. If you were to watch a news program, a game show, a sitcom, you're going to see up to 10 minutes or more of commercials. And that funds these programs. Christian programming is totally different. We're completely funded by our audience. If you haven't partnered with our ministry or given an offering, I would like to invite you to do so. This makes you an investor, a participant. This means that together we're taking the good news program to the world. We have no agenda other than to help people with the Word of God. So the ways to give are on the screen. Take advantage of that or call our helpline. I would love to hear from you today.